When admiration turns to obsession, the line between reality and fantasy can often become blurred. It seems almost like a switch turning from daydream to delusion. The spiral into the possibility of pathological disorder can sneak up on just about anyone, ranging from innocent fans who lose themselves in the bliss of their idol's presence to individuals who already suffer from mental illness. This may seem rare and sort of intense, but parasocial relationships are so much more common than one would think. In truth, they reside in almost every single person with access to social media.
Parasocial relationships at their core are simply one sided relationships, typically between a fan and a celebrity, in which the fan puts an effort and emotional investment while getting nothing in reciprocation from the celebrity. While it sounds harsh, this can really be as simple as a celebrity crush. The problem, however, is this can quickly snowball into stalking, harassment, doxing, and in some cases, fatality. Whether it be the harassment of internet goers by Nicki Minaj's so called Barbs, or the toxic infatuation some fans have with Taylor Swift, the uncommon occurrences of this can never just be accepted as some sort of write off. These relationships are fine when moderated, but when pushed to the extreme, they're toxic to all parties involved and should be kept in check no matter what. Before continuing with my argument, though, I feel it's important to define a few key terms. According to Cleveland Clinic, the most common and relatively harmless type of parasocial relationship is the entertainment social relationship. This is when the distinction between fan and friend of a celebrity is clearly made in the fan's mind while still affecting their livelihood. The next kind, in order of severity, is the intense personal relationship. This is when you still maintain an understanding of reality, but you start to lose control over some aspects of your life, feeling compulsions to constantly check up on the celebrity. And lastly, the most dangerous kind of parasocial relationship is the borderline pathological relationships. This is when the line between reality and fantasy no longer exists in the mind of the beholder. For my argument, I will be focusing on this kind of parasocial relationship and the intense personal relationship. Now, this dilemma may seem relatively tolerable when in the context of a fan just vying for the affection of a celebrity who has a few bodyguards here and there to protect them. But harassing celebrities they love is just the tip of the iceberg. These fans, when they feel their idol is being threatened, have even resorted to finding the personal information of others online and publicizing it for the world to see. A particular example emerges in the fan base of Nicki Minaj, the quote unquote Barbs, who, during a conflict with fellow female rapper Megan Thee Stallion, doxed those coming to Megan's defense on account of Nicki's controversial raps. The doxing of innocent people online tears apart our right to share our voice, which breaches the very foundation of human nature: diversity in opinion and in heart. The psychology in this is, as Brooklyn College Vanguard states, a serious detachment from truth and reality. This degradation of the fan's connection to common sense opens up the possibility for anyone, truly anyone, with the means to do so, to find the doxing victims and do whatever they want to them. It seriously is just as dangerous as stalking. Now, what gives them the right to define another person's self-worth based on the side they choose in a petty argument between rappers? What gives them the right to attack another person online? What gives them the right to publish someone else's address, full name, job? What gives them the right? The obvious answer is really nothing. This behavior is degenerate, and while many skim over the word doxing as unserious, your personal information online is as permanent as the orbit of the Earth. 5 years in the future, it'll still be there. And 5 years in the future, someone could decide they want to use it. But I get it, really. Well, to an extent. The inevitability of loneliness, at some point or another, haunts even the most stoic of humans. And sadly, the brunt of loneliness often takes victims in varying degrees. And when it gets bad, really bad, like miserable even, living a fantasy life with your favorite celebrity can feel like the only escape. Isolation is a truly harrowing thought. The idea that you might get even an ounce of Nicki Minaj's attention can feel like having a million friends. But that's far from reality. The harsh truth is that the relationship is nothing but a figment. The only thing worse than isolation is the torture of begging for affection from someone who doesn't even know you exist. Except superfans can't see that. In their minds, Nicki Minaj is forever grateful for their help, and they've earned the love and attention they so desire. This is why it is so vital to be able to be responsible and keep yourself in check, and cut yourself off when you can feel your control slipping away. It is important to admit, though, that parasocial relationships have a lot of benefits too, as long as they're controlled, of course. A healthy way to maintain this relationship without falling to delusion is, instead of relying on celebrities for validation, to connect with others in your community. And this way you can also gain the same emotional reassurance while also having other people as anchors to keep you grounded in reality. That being said, even one case of a fan going too far is one too many, because that trauma sticks with anyone involved. And so the cycle continues. What makes this worse is that the celebrities you worship, the ones who you so very love, are the biggest targets of these attacks. A horrifying example is that of Joshua J. Corbett, who broke into Sandra Bullock's house, stayed there for 3 days on end, and proclaimed in a letter that she was his wife. Just imagine her huddled in her closet, a mix of sweat and tears running down her face, as the pounding of the man's arms on her bedroom door increased in intensity. The thought of her sharp breaths coupled with her desperate pleas for the cops on the phone to hurry, to save her. Now that's true horror. Corbett's lawyer, in an interview with Glendale News-Press, sympathized with Corbett that he was a good person, but he had mental health demons that we really thought he was controlling. It shows how easy it is to overlook the signs of obsession and borderline pathological parasocial relationships. And that's why it's so important that we, as a community, learn to regulate ourselves and those around us. At their core, little to no fans ever want to consciously harm their favorite celebrity. And to inflict such emotions on an idol is a fan's worst nightmare. But when their delusion has reached such peaks, it's impossible to reason with them. Impossible for them to understand. I know this seems like a 1 in 1,000 situation for fans, but it's a 1 in 1 situation for celebrities. I challenge you. Search any celebrity's name followed by crazy fan encounter. The results are truly shocking, because they all carry that trauma, and you owe it to the very people you admire so much to protect them. While now you may all understand the dangers of parasocial relationships and the psychology within it, the knowledge is effectively useless without action. We, as a community of adults, teenagers, anyone with a phone, need to hold ourselves accountable for not allowing ourselves to spiral, because it isn't a switch like I previously mentioned. It's slow and daunting and hits you before you realize it. We need to healthily develop admiration for celebrities instead of creating fake fantasies and relationships that we perceive to be real. We need to maintain awareness of our position in their life as one fan out of millions, billions even. Not only do we need to check ourselves, we need to check and look out for those around us. Notice the signs. Because, in my mind, the toxicity of crazy fan bases can never be swept under the rug.